First of all, welcome to class. I would talk to you today how things are going to be going with the in-person session. So first of all, just to let you know, this classroom should be full with people that can attend. And some of you have opted out of attending, and some of you say, okay, it's okay. So what I'm going to be doing is sending out a homework assignment that's going to be due on Friday. So I'm going to send it out today, make it due Friday, which is a faster pace than I normally have things due, so that you can tell me, do you want to opt out or do you want to be in person? And then I can probably get you in. I think I could probably get more of you in sessions so you can see more in-person sessions. That's if we last. I deal with 300 students in 2 classes, and I already have 5 positive cases in the 300 students that I deal with. So hopefully, you can follow the social distancing and masking things so that we can be in person. Elsewise, we're going to be the same as Notre Dame and UNC, and that we're going to have to go home. Oh, I forgot. I can do this now. I can do this now. I can wear this sexy thing. I forgot. There we go. Here we go. So be on the lookout for that. I'll have a new seating schedule on Monday. I'll release it over the weekend just because I'm going to try to get you in, those of you in that want to be in earlier. So just so you know what the plan is, and I've said this many times, but I'm getting emails and texts like crazy, so I want to make sure we're on the same page. This class will have a lecture in the morning. Everybody will have a new lecture. Everybody's lecture is online. Okay, you'll have one Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, new content. After I lecture on Monday, the Wednesday in-person section will cover that Monday lecture. And then that Monday lecture, the homework for that Monday lecture will be due on Friday. So you have online lecture, in-person content, homework due on Friday. Same thing, Wednesday lecture, Friday in-person, due on Monday. And that's how it'll begin next week. So you may not be able to get all those in-person sections, but I will try to record those in-person sections so that they will be viewed, and that's what I'm trying to work out this week. That's what we're trying to do this, the way I'm doing it. I've lectured. This is going to be my 4th time giving this exact same lecture, and it's getting better. It's really getting better. I think by Friday at 12:30, I will have this down. I think I'll have it down. What I want to do today is just answer any questions that you might have about the class. And I want to go over some things some feedback that I got from the summer version of this class, and then talk to you about homework formatting. So before I get started here, is there any questions that you have that I can answer to start off with? This is exactly how it's gone every 3 times. It's the same thing here. Okay, let's talk about some feedback I've received from the summer semester. So this is my 10th year teaching at K-State. I've taught thermo, I don't know, 12 times, 14 times. I don't know, thermo is kind of my class. I love thermo. And this summer when teaching thermo, I taught it to 35 students, and I asked them at the very end, the prompt was, what advice would you give to the fall 2020 thermo class? That was it. What I'm providing you with is their feedback that is unedited. In fact, I started with making some edits, but then I decided not to do that. But let's just read. I want to read over what they've said to me so that you can hear from actual students. I'm going to add in my input, and you're going to see some repetitive stuff here. It's going to be very repetitive in some instances. The first thing here is take advantage of OneNote. I'm going to be using my Microsoft Surface tablet to make OneNote notes, and that's going to be, you saw that if you've watched the lecture for today, that's how I write all my notes. Those notes are available to you right now on Canvas. You can click on Class Notebook, view my notes. You can annotate my notes if you like to, but they're available for everybody. Student number 1 said, hey, take advantage of OneNote. Here's something, homework at a minimum, start homework at a minimum of 4 hours before it's due. Here's where I made my one and only comment. That scares me. You're going to hear a lot of other people say, start your homework earlier. Okay, this class is homework heavy, very homework heavy. You're probably going to do 30 homework assignments. There's going to be between 2 and 3 homework problems for every homework assignment. Sometimes, like today's homework that I assigned, I expect you to get it done in maybe an hour and a half. Other times, your homework is going to take you 3 hours to get done with that homework as we get more difficult. And hopefully these in-class sessions can help you work towards not spending 8 hours on homework, because that has happened for students before, and I don't want that to happen, but I want you to use me as a resource. Okay, students say, work with Dr. Wanklin as he's solving the problems of the lecture, pause the video if necessary. That's what I intend for you to do. Sometimes I say pause, please pause and work with me. Okay, here we go. Start the homework right after the lecture. Start the homework early. You're going to see that over and over again. Get familiar with the STEAM tables. Here in about 3 weeks, that appendices that I've asked you to print out in spiral bound, we're going to be using that a lot. A lot. Meaning that maybe in a single problem, you're going to have to look up 5 or 6 things in those tables. If you are struggling with the STEAM tables at any point in time, we need to talk, we need to figure that out, because that is a key that could make or break you, really. Every problem is going to require those problems. So if you can't look up properties, we're going to be in trouble. Okay? Here's a student that this summer just took the exam only option, and they said, don't worry about the homework, just study the old exam problems. That's not something I would recommend, but that's what that student recommended. Here's a student that said something here. Actually listen to the lectures, which is probably a good thing, and work along with them. It's so easy just to copy what the professor does and not really learn from it. When he asks for you to pause the video and solve, do it. Practice is critical. Practice is critical for thermo. This is not like, I'm going to be repetitive on many things I'm saying today. It's not like engineering physics in classes. I took engineering physics in 1997, so I don't really remember engineering physics. But a lot was, here's the problem, here's some numbers, I find the right equation, I plug them in, I get the right answer. That's not thermo. Thermo is, here's an equation, and it's a magical problem statement, and it's got all sorts of twists and turns in that problem statement, and you have to start and make the first analysis of, okay, now what path am I going to take down? I may have 2 paths. You're going to take a step down the right path direction, and then that decision is going to lead to 3 more decisions, and you have to pick the next decision, and there you go. And I have an equation sheet that's available to you right now that has all the equations, and you might look at the equation sheet and say, hey, look, this equation has all the variables that are in this problem statement. I'll just plug those in and solve. It just doesn't work that way. So please start working on making sure that you know what's going on, okay? You practice this on your own. That's very important. Here we go. Don't wait until 10 p.m. to start the homework. Okay? Text or email when you need help. I like this. Wanklin is supportive. I try to be supportive. I'm a teaching associate professor. My job is teaching. I want to be there. I've been in my office this morning. I had Zoom available. I wasn't during my office hours, but if you happen to pop in, I would have talked to you. Okay? I don't think whenever I'm available, have openings, I'm going to be on Zoom, but you can always text me and let me know if you have questions. Another thing that should be noted is never skip something and think it's okay. Some classes you can get away with having a few gaps in your knowledge, but the nature of thermo is that the ideas build upon each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. If there's something in this semester that you're struggling with and say, but I'll get it later, it's probably not a good idea. Make sure you understand it now. Make sure you work through it, okay? Though it's tempting to try to use other resources to try to just get it done, this method does not work for thermo. If you take the time to learn how to do thermal problems well and understand them and study for the exams won't be as daunting. Also use my office hours. He might seem scary, but he really isn't at all. He really isn't, and I'll be the first to tell you that he might say a 10 or 20-minute phone call might be the idea that makes everything click in place, okay? I try not to be scary. I try not to. I don't know why you would be scared of this dude. I mean, really. I mean, I come at you in a dark alley? No. I know my exams might be scary, but here's the thing, though. This other resource is to try to get it done. And I'm going to get on my Chegg box for a little bit, or now there's that new site Slater, which is even better than Chegg because it's free. It's just wonderful out there. It's just a new drug that will kill you in a completely different way. Chegg makes the decisions for you. When you get to that path, it says, okay, take this path and then take this path. And it looks like it's a really nice, oh, that's easy to do. I can do that. But when you don't practice it or you don't struggle through that pathway, and I don't want you to struggle a lot. I talked about this again. I want you to work and have resiliency and learn the material so that when you're on your own, you can do it yourself. This just getting it done, there's going to be a night that you're going to have homework that's due at midnight and you are at 11 o'clock, you don't have your homework and you're thinking, this one time I'll just look it up or I'll look at how to do it. And then it'll be the next night, oh, okay, just this time. This is my only 2 times. And maybe there'll be 3 times or something like that. Well, you've already got yourself down a path where you haven't practiced a skill and you're a little bit weak. And so when you see that 4th homework where you say, now I'm going to do it on time, you don't have that skill, that strength built up. And you're going to then have to be relying on that Chegg, that drug to help you get going. And that'll be fine until you get to an exam when that's taken away from you. So I'm going to highly encourage you to stay away from there. And we all have decisions, and we can make decisions to do things what I would consider the right way and what I would consider the wrong way, and we can all have our best of intentions. You know, like this, they say, start your homework early, get your homework done, and all that kind of stuff. I will say that's great. I will say, my plan was this semester, I'll have all my lectures done by 5 p.m. This is my schedule, this is how it works. And if you watched the lecture last night, I was at 11:45, I started recording the lecture that you had for this morning, just because that's just not how my day was, and my best laid plans. But I can't say, well, that's just how it is. I'm going to be recording lectures at 11:45 every night. I have a decision to make today how I'm going to do my lecture for tomorrow. So anyway, that's my soapbox moment, which is all. Today is just soapbox moments, so it's just a bunch of those. It's important not to fall behind in lecture videos. They are all online for you to watch. It's difficult to retain information if you watch them all at once. I try now to make sure that you watch them that's why I require you to watch them in that basically 22-hour period. Homework, it's important to work through these problems, not only to give you plenty of practice, but they will set you up to do well. All right? Advice for future students, keep up to date with all the lectures. Knocking out thermo homework as early as possible. The biggest thing is actually understanding what I was doing in the homework and learning the thought process. Okay, don't just do it, understand why. If I were to call you up here in front of the classroom and say, can you explain what's going on? I want you to be at that level, okay? You should have your own ideas for each question. Try to finish the homework without textbook and lecture notes. That would be a good exercise. Watch all lecture videos because every single thing builds upon each other. If you miss one day, make sure to come back to it sometime. I would highly suggest creating a flow chart. So this is a student who came to me this summer, didn't do so well on the first exam. I said, let's make a flow chart of the actual decisions that you need to make for every problem. And this student took a piece of paper, a huge piece of paper, and made a thermo flow chart of all the decisions that he needed to make. And his grade, I can't exactly remember, but when I've asked other students to do this, their grade has increased because now they can start thinking, and I can look at this and say, look, there's a big gap here of ideas or decisions that you need to make that you don't have in your flow chart. Let's put those in. I'm okay with you working through and thinking about this flow chart. And then when you see a problem, you should just be able to follow that flow chart and get you in the neighborhood of the problem solution method. So this is something that I'm gonna highly encourage, and it'll make more sense as we get in actual talk about real content here. Every lecture needs to be watched every day. When I say that though, I mean like really watch the lecture. You know what it's like to you're watching the lecture online and you're playing, the app of choice that you have on your phone. Right now for me it's Numberzilla or whatever you're playing, and you're not really paying attention, but you are, and then they're asked a question. Really, I would hope that you could watch that and pay close attention. Again, get started on the homework today. The lecture is given. here's a student. This student here took this class. She was from Iowa State, and she had to get a C in the class to transfer back to Iowa State. And she told me, Dr. Wanklin, she said, I had an honest conversation at the beginning of the class with Dr. Wanklin about Chegg, and I only resorted to it when I was stuck. She told me, Dr. Wanklin, I am going to use Chegg. I've used Chegg at Iowa State for 4 years. I've been very successful using Chegg. I know how to use it the right way. And I said, you know, I can't, I'm not really, on homework, I'm not the Chegg police, but I want to encourage you not to do that. And her homework was great, beautiful homework. And she said she only used it for the right way. I wasn't so sure because her exam scores were always really low. And the things that I saw her, the connections she made in the homework without asking me any questions, she couldn't make in the exams. And at the very end of the class, she was at a 68, I think, or somewhere around the 68. I can't remember the exact number. And she had to get a C to pass. And she said, I'm in trouble because all this work in the summer, I need to get it to transfer back into Iowa State. And I said, how about this last 2 weeks of this course, we don't use Chegg at all. We use Wanklin. You come and you write me, you talk to me, and let's see if we can do it this way. And we did that for the last 2 weeks of the course. And the last 2 weeks is a little bit different material. She got to a place where she got herself out of here with a 70.1, okay? I don't know what happened. I don't know. This is just my data point, again, to try to get on that anti-Chegg thing. If I could take down Chegg, and they were in the Wall Street Journal today, a big thing about how Chegg is saving education. Chegg is ruining education. That's my opinion. But it's just one dude in a classroom on Kansas State campus. But if I could talk to these people, I would have a lot to say. I would have a lot to say to folks at Chegg. Anyway, here we go. Where were we at? Okay, keep up with the material. We recommend dedicating time to thermo every day. For homework, I suggest we do the homework after we watch the lecture as soon as you can. Don't see the solution online. I would suggest ask questions right away when you start to struggle. Listen, I'm okay with you struggling a little bit, but if you're struggling, if you're working on a homework problem, and you're spending more than 1 hour on a homework problem, that should be, I'm going to talk to Wanklin or one of his TAs. That's what we should do. If you're spending 3 hours on a homework problem, you're wasting your time. You need to take advantage of the resources that we're providing you here. Thermo takes a lot of time and patience to understand what you're doing. Homework's an important part of learning. When completing the homework, I found that I understood the material better when fully reading and writing the problem statement out multiple times. Watch the videos before 11 p.m. Lectures function very similar to school, but I would always try to give yourself plenty of time to do homework and try to work ahead. This is so you get questions if you get confused. My main tip for doing the homework is to complete each of the problem steps. Rewrite the problem, draw a diagram, give an assumption, solve the problem, which is exactly what I'm going to ask you to do, okay? And then here, it's better to do things earlier rather than later. You can read in detail. I've skimmed some of these things. You can read in detail all of this, but these are actual students who wrote these things to me. And it's easy to say, okay, Wanklin, you have convinced me. I am going to do that right now. I'm going to leave. I'm going to watch the lecture. And I'm going to do that right now. The proof is in the pudding and actually doing it. Okay, but you have that, again, you have that choice. I'm going to help you in any way I possibly can. I realize we're in the real world. We have real things going on. Thermo is not your only class. Although you might believe after all the homework I give you this semester that I believe that Thermo is your only class. I'm just trying to make you successful, okay? I'm just trying to do that, and that requires you to do a fair amount of homework this semester. You just can't just watch lectures and magically understand the material. Are there any questions about that material, about that feedback that you would like to talk to me about? Okay. The last thing I want to do today, because I have to get you out of here the in-class portion has to be 45 minutes, so I have time to spray down this room with this Victory spray. Have you seen this Victory sprayer? Oh, this is awesome. This sprayer here has got something called QT3 inside of it, which is amazing. It kills coronavirus, it kills hope, dreams, it does everything you spray it on. It's got an electrostatic thing. It has electrostatically charged the particles, and 80 nanometers, they come out of here. And you can spray it all over the surface. Have to let it sit for 3 minutes, and then you can wipe off. You here are, there's nobody in the class before you, so you're not going to have to come and wipe anything off. In fact, my 8:30 and my 12:30 lectures, nobody's coming in before, so you should be able to come in and everything should be dry, and you should be okay. If you want to get something to wipe off, it's okay. But I have to shut down at 11 or at 1:15 so that I can do that for the next class coming in. And right now there's no class after us, but I don't know. Some classes are not meeting the first week, so that's what we'll have to do. If you want to invest in a company, though, invest in the Victory sprayer, because I think they cost that thing there cost $700. So I don't know for sure, but I think it did. Maybe there was a bulk discount because we bought a lot of them here at K-State. Okay, let's talk about homework. I am going to require that you submit your homework in a specific homework format. So as you know, Wiley Plus is going to pull up, and here's a problem for Wiley Plus. And you're going to read it just like a problem that would be in a textbook. And then I want you to take out a sheet of engineering paper or white paper, and I want you to solve that problem. When you get the answer, I want you to type it into Wiley Plus. Okay? Wiley Plus is going to grade it. You're going to get 5 points for that. There's your 5 points for Wiley Plus. Then you're going to scan what you have here on the homework format, and you're going to turn that in, and that's going to be worth 5 points. I don't care if you get the Wiley Plus problem right or wrong. I don't care. I'm only going to grade for these 5 points whether you have the 5 elements that I want to see there. I don't care if they're right or wrong. I just want to see those 5 elements. And so this is the 5 elements that I'm going to talk to you about. Because this is a communication method. You are communicating with me. Any company that you work with is going to have a certain way that they are going to ask you to present your work. Okay, you just can't do it on the back of an envelope. You have to do it in a certain way. This is just kind of getting you prepared for that. It can be time consuming. It can be a little tedious at times, but the goal here is to get your mind organized in solving the question the right way. So let's go over what the homework format is going to be like, and I'm going to bring out my notes just so I don't miss any of my points as I'm going here. On the top section, you're going to put the class name. So this class is Thermodynamics. By the way, is anybody here for history of building and construction? It's the wrong room. I had a couple of freshmen that were here the entire lecture on Monday. Came up to me, they were really confused about what was going on. But this is thermodynamics. Okay, if you are in history of building construction, just stay. Nobody will know. And then you'll get a preview of this is actually the best class that is offered at Kansas State University. So you might want to change and get in here. Okay, thermo. Then you're going to put homework number, whatever it is. Homework number 1. Homework number 1 is going to be due 8, what's the next week? 24? 2020. You're going to put the date that it's due. Okay? And then you're going to put your name. Now, there's always one student that'll turn this in, their first assignment in the semester with their name, actual Kevin Wanklin. I actually want your name. Okay, your name would be great. And then over here, you're going to put the page number. This is going to be page 1 of whatever, 3 pages. Okay? If you put this header on every page, you're going to get 1 point. Okay? Every new page, you're going to put that header, 1 point. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the problem statement and you say, okay, here's problem number 1. And you're going to restate the problem. Okay? You're going to be sure to list the knowns and what you need. That's interesting. Okay, there we go. Need to find. On my screen, it wasn't showing up. It was showing up on there on Zoom. Okay, knowns and what you need to find. For most students, this is going to be just recopying the problem statement, just completely recopying the problem statement, and that's fine. That's fine. Some of you, there's going to be longer problem statements, and you're going to say, I want to simplify that. I want to summarize that, and that's fine as well. I'm okay with that. The goal would be that I would be able to take your summary and give it to any student in the class, and they would say that's enough information. If I gave that your problem statement on an exam, they would say, they would have no questions. It was completely clear. If you can do it like that, I'm fine with it. Go ahead and simplify in that way, okay? And what you need to find. If you do this, this is worth 1 point. Okay? Now, the next area is probably where students lose the most points, and that is going to be, the first thing I want you to do is draw a diagram. Okay, draw a diagram. This is required unless stated. Okay? And one of those times that I'm stating that is tonight's homework. Tonight's homework, there are 3 homework problems. The first homework problem is going to be doing some unit conversions. I say don't worry about a diagram for that, but I need you to have a diagram for everything else. And the main reason why I ask you to do a diagram or a picture is that anytime that you are really trying to visualize a problem, you're going to draw some sort of picture. If you've taken the introduction to mechanical engineering for me, one of the first things I do is said, okay, let's figure out the shadow of a tree. How long the shadow of a tree is. Here's the sun. Here's how tall the tree is. I want to know how long the shadow is. The first thing students do is they just draw a picture of a tree and a sun, and they draw the triangle. The triangle even is good enough. You draw something that you can visualize it, okay? Sometimes students say, well, what do I draw for this, Dr. Wanklin? The problem statement says air in a room is at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. How do I draw that? And I say, well, you draw a box, and you say air, and you say 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's all I need, okay? You may say, that's stupid, Dr. Wanklin. I say, it's worth a point. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. All right? Now, later on in the semester, we're going to draw these diagrams. They're going to be called TV diagrams that are going to have vapor domes and things like that. That's okay. Anything that you can draw is going to be required for that point. The other thing that's going to be in here is going to be the assumptions and the engineering model. Okay? And I want you to write out assumptions and model, or assumptions or model, whichever you're doing. This assumptions and model step is going to be in 2 weeks. We're going to start adding this part to it. You're not going to have to do it right away. I will tell you when we need to do the assumptions and the model. This is where you need to tell me what you're assuming in the problem. So, for example, I said that the air was 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, in this room, the air may not be everywhere 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm assuming that that's uniform inside the room, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I could be calculating the volume of an odd shape, and I say that's about a sphere, so I'm going to assume it's to be a sphere. You've taken chemistry. You know that there's gases, and there's some gases that are ideal, and we say they're ideal gases. That's actually a model. We're modeling a gas as an ideal gas. I want you to explicitly tell me what assumptions and model you're making. Sometimes the problem statement gives you assumptions and model. I want you to restate them here, or don't put them in the summary, but put them down here. I want to know what you're assuming. Okay, I want to explicitly know what you're assuming. For us in class, it might seem obvious. Dr. Wanklin, we're talking about ideal gases. Of course I'm going to use the ideal gas model. Yes, I understand that. That's great. But you should be able to show this to somebody not in the class and for them to kind of understand what's going on. And this is pivotal when you are out in industry, when you get a job, and you might be solving the problem, and you might be working with a whole bunch of engineers to solve a problem, and they all know what you're doing, but what you're trying to communicate with is a future engineer. So, for example, if I was going to take the power plant over in St. Mary's, Kansas, and I was building that, it was designed in the 70s, I'll write down all my calculations. I'll give all my diagrams that know exactly how I designed that. and then I retired or I left the company, and 30 years later they need to go back and retrofit something, they don't want to guess what the diagram looks like or have to make it themselves. They want to know exactly what it looks like, and they don't want to guess what assumptions you made. They want to know what you made. So we are going to put these things down there. We're going to get into the good habit of doing that, and putting these things in there is going to be worth 1 point. Now the next thing is going to be the analysis. Okay, now you're going to actually solve the problem, and I like you to do the equation substitution result method of doing calculations. Okay? Let's do an equation that you're all familiar with. Let's do F is equal to ma. That's going to be my equation. My substitution here is going to say maybe my mass is 2 kilograms and my acceleration is 2 meters per second squared. Okay? I want to put down a number, and I want to put the unit with the number. It's important that numbers have units. That's going to help us out a lot this semester. A lot this semester. Okay? Then we're going to do the result. So this is going to be force is equal to 4 kilogram meter per second squared. That's not the units I want, so I'm going to do a unit conversion by railroad tracking here and say that 1 kilogram meter per second squared is equal to 1 Newton. And so my final answer is 4 newtons. And I'm going to box that. Okay? Equation, substitution, result. This analysis here is worth 1 point. Okay, your entire analysis. And again, I don't care if it's right or wrong. I just want to see you do it. You might have intermediate answers. My suggestion is to underline those intermediate answers. But give your analysis as 1 point. This box here at the bottom is worth 1 point. Now, if I were to have it perfectly, I would like for you to not just give it force is equal to 4 newtons. I'd like you to give it in a sentence. The force is equal to 4 newtons. Because that's how we talk in everyday life. I don't require that. I required that for a couple semesters, and I got hate mail. So I don't really worry about that, but I do want you to think about this in the form of a sentence. And if you feel comfortable putting it in the form of a sentence, is great. But you don't have to. It's not required. All right? And at the very end, make a comment. This is optional. It's not, no points are given there. But this comment is, you're talking to your future self. Maybe you can say, hey, I had difficulty with this problem. Come back and look at it. Or there was one technique that I wasn't familiar with. Or I'm still unsure about step 3. That's for you to work with. It may be that your problem can't be solved all on one page. You're going to have to continue onto another page. So down here at the very bottom, you'll say continued. And then on the top of the next page, you'll say continued from previous page. You need to talk to me, explain to me what you're doing, okay? And then you'll finish it up at the top of the next page. You'll put the header, and you don't have to do anything more than just continue the problem, continue the analysis. You don't have to rewrite the problem statement or anything like that. Just continue the analysis. When you're done with the problem, a new problem must start on a new page. Even if you only use this much of the second page, I want you to leave the rest of it blank and start a new page. It's easier for us to grade. Okay? Now, note that if your problem has parts A, B, C, D, E, whatever, that can all go on the same page. It's the same problem. When you start a new problem number, it must go on the next page. Okay, so A, B, C, D can go on the same page. When you're done, you get all of your problems together. You find, oh, my whole I had 5 pages here. I'm going to put 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. And now I'm going to scan. I am going to scan these all, put them into one PDF document, upload it, and that will be 15 points. If it was 3 problems, 15 points will be, we'll quickly go through and say 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1.5. You're good to go. Are there any questions about that homework format? Somebody asked me, do you need to write in all capital letters? No. You can write in cursive. I don't care. You need to write in you need to write in English so that we can read it, but that's all I care about. Anything here? What I just noticed is this thing has always been tippy. It's kind of tips down, and I have my stylus. I had to get all these new tips because I keep laying it down here, and it would roll off, and it would fall onto the floor, and it would break my tip off. But now they bought these new cabinets for this sprayer, and now this thing rolls off. It has magnet, and it sticks to the side of the cabinet, and it saves me money. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so happy. All right. So we talked about kind of student feedback. We talked about homework. We talked about how the class will run. We got in person at least one time, and we'll try to see you again next Wednesday, if not earlier, if I can get you in the schedule. Anything else that I can talk to you about today, or any other questions that you might have about thermo that we can talk about and I can answer for you? Yes. Yep. Okay. So the question was, for the online quizzes, every question is worth 2 points, and they are based upon correctness. So what I like to do, and Canvas doesn't allow me the opportunity to do that, and if you can figure out how to do that, I will implement it. But what I would like to do is give you points for trying and then points for being correct. For Canvas, I can't. I have to just give you points for being correct. So every problem will be worth 2 points. So for example, today there was some true false. If you selected false and that's correct, you get 2. If you selected true and that was incorrect, you'll get 0 for there. And we'll just keep adding that up. At the end of the semester, if there's a need for me to kind of bump up scores, I might give you all students 10 extra credit points to see where the average is. I like to get the average of quizzes, but in the 80s. I might flood it with some points, but right now it's going to be right or wrong. You either get it or you don't get it. There's no partial credit. My hope is that when I'm given a lecture, the answer was either explicitly stated in that 10-minute or 15-minute portion, or later on we're going to do some problems where we're going to start and work on problems, and I'm going to do a drop-off point where I'm going to say, now you finish this problem, and it should be then plug and chug that you can finish that problem. So hopefully you can get most of those points. If you're really struggling and you're not getting points on the quizzes, then that probably means I've been doing a bad job writing quiz problems, and let me know, and I'll look at what you're talking about and try to do better. Because I did get some feedback this summer that said, man, that was a very confusing question. And I was like, yeah, you're right, it's a very confusing question, so I just gave everybody 2 points. Give it back, because I don't want to. You shouldn't get screwed over because of my incompetence. Okay? That's not my goal. I want to screw you over in different ways. Any other questions? All right. Oh, you're my question guy. I like this. Yeah, I don't want you to write on the back of engineering paper. So the question was, if you use engineering paper, is it okay, or you don't want us to write on the back? No, I don't want you. I want you to use engineering paper, the front sides of it. Now, I know engineering paper is expensive, so I put a engineering paper template on Canvas, and you can print that out on white paper, front and back, then I'm okay with whatever. It's just harder if you write on the back of engineering paper and scan it, it's hard to read. Since I'm never going to see a physical copy, I don't care how you do that there. Some students use white paper, front and back engineering paper, and then write in the front and back and then scan it in. Some people just use engineering paper. Some people now just use a tablet, their iPad or their Surface, and they just write it all digitally, and they just send it to me in a PDF form digitally. That's fine. It just has to be a PDF. It just has to be a PDF because that's what the grader that I have requires, that PDF. I don't want it to be a picture. I want it to be a PDF. There's been some beautiful homework this summer. Students just digitally did their homework all on their computer, and it looked amazing, colored and everything like that. I really liked how they could make the boxes and everything. But it does require that you have the materials, the equipment. All right, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to call me, 785-587-7946. Don't hesitate to come to Zoom hours. And please, don't hesitate to call me. I've given my number to thousands of students. I tell this story every time. I don't know if I said to you or not, but it's only been abused 4 times, and those 4 times were each hilarious. And so my favorite one was a guy who called me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, "Wank, I am so wasted, and I am not going to be in class at 8:30. I love you." Hung up. Next morning at 8:30, I was taking physical homework. The first dude in the classroom was that dude. And I was like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "Yeah, I woke up in City Park and I thought I'm up. Might as well come to class." So anyway, I'm not looking for you to, do that, but just please put my number in your phone and use me as a resource. That's what you pay me to do. Let me earn my keep. All right? Until then, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you next week.